Hi guys, Lindsay here. So don't judge the hideous stove in the background. I'm gonna have my neighbors scrap it. I'm having to film right now in the little shed canopy thingy that we store our firewood and our hay supply in. It's pretty chilly out and it's very windy and there's a lot of animal noise going on. But I wanted to give you guys a bit of an update just because the last video was pretty intense. I was still in a really big point of stress with all of the health scare stuff that was happening with my mom. In that video, I had shared that they thought that she was going to be able to save her leg. She had had a big infection in it, had become sepsis, almost died, and then they thought that she was going to be able to save the leg. A couple hours after I posted that video, the doctors actually came in and found out that she actually had an infection in her bone, and that the infection was significantly worse, and that basically there was no choice but to amputate the leg. So that was pretty stressful. That was pretty overwhelming. I mean, you guys are definitely, if you've been watching for any length of time, you can see it on my face that, like, I've not been sleeping. There's been a lot going on. In that same time period of my mom being in the hospital, which she still is in the hospital, the amputation went really well. She's going to be going to a rehab facility here soon, so that way she can, get going with all of that stuff, so that way she can learn life as an amputee. She already is a wheelchair user, so like not too terribly much is going to shift or change for her. So that's really good. But so while all that was going on, and this has actually been something that's been going on pretty much all summer long, Tracy's grandpa has been on hospice, and we've been doing a lot of caregiving for him, like home health type stuff, just to help grandma out and keep him at home and, do that whole sort of a thing. While this whole time that my mom was in the hospital and dealing with all of this, he had taken a turn for the worse, and hospice had called in the family, and we really weren't home at all this past week. We were pretty much at Tracy's grandma's the entire time, between like round the clock caregiving and administering medicines, and just, it's been a lot. It's been really heavy. And that was one of the things that I had alluded to in the last video of there's other stuff going on in the background. And that's not the entirety of everything else that has happened. Tracy's grandpa has since passed away. So it's, our hearts are very heavy and very sad. And we're also struggling right now with trying to adapt to a new routine, because for the last several months, every single night, we've actually gone over to Tracy's grandparents' house, done caregiving stuff, spent time, visited, all that sort of a thing. And then on the weekends also, it had been like 2 to 3 times a day on the weekends as well. So, I mean, this weekend we pretty much were just all out of sorts. Grandpa passed Friday night, so it was just sort of like Saturday morning we woke up and we're like, well, what do we do? Like, after we get chores done, what do we do now? Like, this just feels foreign. It feels weird. We haven't had a day that we got to both stay home the entire day, in probably 4 months. For Tracy and I, that's a huge deal. Like, we are serious homebodies. Like, part of why we homestead is because we hate leaving our property. We hate going to the store, like, to buy groceries. Like, it's a big deal for us to not be home. So it's just been this constant thing of just never being able to quite feel balance, and it just feeling really uncomfortable, really out of sorts, and just not being able to gain any steady footing, for the last several months. And then just everything with our property and the house hunt, and just, it's been a lot. It's just, there's been a lot going on. Also, during this past week too, we had serious issues with our buck Wilbur. So our breeding goat, our male goat, intact male, whatever. My words are not functioning. Whenever I deal with a whole bunch of stress, I lose a lot of executive function. So things like speaking become hard for me, keeping things on track, keeping track of what day it is, time of day, routines of, that I'm supposed to eat. And it's really bad. It's really hard for me when I get really overwhelmed with so many stressful things and uncertainties going on. It's very difficult for me to stay focused. It's part of why I had to film in a contained area, so that way there's not as much distractions. During this whole time with Tracy's grandpa and my mom and all of this stuff, Wilbur, our buck, he actually learned that he could escape his paddock. So he's in rut. It is the prime breeding season for the goats, and we still have a young female goat that was also in heat that was way too young to get bred. So during this time, he kept jumping out and escaping. So I was doing all of these crazy amounts of fencing projects trying to keep him contained. Thankfully, he's very friendly with humans. So it wasn't like super dangerous for us to have him free range the property, but like, I don't know why he didn't leave. Like, our neighbors have goats, and he could have gone and sowed his wild oats over there many times over and then come back and, you know, whatever. But so anyways, we did a whole bunch of work to try to keep him contained. We even moved him to a different pasture space. We did so much work. And then Thursday night, I think it was, I had come out and I couldn't find him anywhere. He had figured out a different way to escape. And when he broke into where the girls were at, he actually really messed up his legs severely. Like, to where he was just laying on the barn floor shaking because he was in so much pain. He couldn't bear any weight on it at all. He just kept leaving it held up in the air, and yeah, we thought we were going to have to put him down because it was that bad of an injury. But you know, because of all the stress with Grandpa and everything of being just so busy, we were like, all right, well, we just have to wait and see because we don't have time to dig a hole. Like, that was seriously it. We were so busy and so overwhelmed and so stressed out. We had to just see what would happen because we didn't have time to process it, to do anything with him and stuff. But luckily, thankfully, giving him time was actually the right answer. He's actually walking around his new pasture. I had to do another new one. And he's, you know, just running around playing and stuff. So, I mean, he's 100% recovered. But so that leads me to yesterday. So I have not been able to get a lot of projects done, as you guys could imagine, because of my energy and my time being so caught up in other places and doing other things, which I'm not complaining at all whatsoever. Like, this was a totally voluntary thing. Like, I volunteered and, you know, I was like, I feel called to serve in this capacity. This is what I'm doing and stuff. But so with saying that, I only have so much energy in a day, and with knowing that I had to keep so much of a block in reserves for caregiving in the evening, I had a lot of projects that got let go and just got sort of crumbled by the wayside. So yesterday I ended up hiring somebody to come help me to move Wilbur's pasture one more time to another area to where he will not be in the flood area of our yard. Because it's where we moved him from his original paddock to being up in the woods on the hill, but then he figured out how to escape because of the hill, and just whole big nightmare. So we ended up moving his pasture one more time to further up in the yard, so it's kind of like right by the driveway, which is a terrible, terrible spot for a buck to be. Whether you want to call it a buck, billy goat, whatever. The intact males, especially during rut, they like to blow themselves and just spray it on their face to attract the ladies, and it smells atrocious, and it's not a sight for children to see, and so it's not an ideal spot to have him and stuff. Like, it's just pretty much like, if anybody goes down the road, this is not a PG property anymore. But yeah, it kind of sucks where he's at, but we got it done, we got it moved, we got him moved, and he's back to playing. So that's about it. And I have totally lost train of thought. This is what happens whenever I'm like so overwhelmed and so overloaded. Like, it's really hard. It's really, really, I don't know how like non-neurodivergent minds handle copious amounts of stress, but mine, it just like, I start short circuiting, and like, it's like, I cannot keep things on track. And it's going to take some time. It's going to take some time for me to not be so clumsy with the camera, with speaking, with my routines, and you know, trying to get my energy back in check. It's gonna take some time. So if you're in my personal life, please have some grace with me, and also with Tracy, obviously, because it's just, we've been off balance for quite a while, and this week we're just sort of trying to really find footing again, and it's a struggle. So anyways, that's it for today. I'm gonna actually try to gather up some more firewood, and just, I don't know, putz around, fiddle fart around, find little things to just occupy my hands and my mind, so that way I can try to really, really ground myself, to just find myself and my sense of home again. So that's been a really big priority lately, of needing to do that. So anyways, thanks for watching. Have a good one, guys.